As the fourth entry of the series, Streets of Rage 4 does everything right to progressively evolve into the current beast that it is, all the while never sacrificing what fans loved about the series to begin with. Taking already existing characters, combos, settings, enemies and more, what Streets of Rage 4 does is successfully build upon the biggest strengths of the previous three entries, more so 1 and 2, and blasts you with a very imaginative and complex series of additions that truly justify its existence into the current market, let alone the series itself. The combo system is the purest example. From doing basic combos from the first three games, and thanks to the inspirations from popular fighting games from the last couple of decades, you are now able to create and combine some of the most satisfying, imaginative, and sometimes hilarious and surprising combos the series has ever seen, not to mention the genre itself. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten hard pulling off some of the craziest combos that I honestly never expected to see in this game. Racking up your combos, as well as completing each stage as quickly as you can, collecting points along the way via health drops, money bags, and completing certain criteria for better rankings, will land you on the world leaderboards, where you can try to earn your place in Streets of Rage history. This is definitely where hardcore fans of the series and genre want to be, and it's here where Streets of Rage 4, like its predecessors, grabs you by the balls and says, "Hang on pal, you ain't done with me yet." You have 4 characters to play initially, followed by a 5th as you play through the story mode. As you'll expect, each character has their own particular set of skills that they have acquired during their career, offering both practical advantages as well as individual weaknesses. If that's not enough, and this is the crazy part, you're able to actually unlock a further 12 characters by simply playing more of the game, just like in the good old days, and it looks like DLC will be coming at some point in the near future too. Combos aside, the gameplay keeps on giving. 12 stages await you, accompanied by a story that references past titles, as well as introducing new elements like the 2 main villains in the game, Mr. and Ms. Y, children of the infamous Mr. X. Now initially, on a personal level, I wasn't particularly fond of these 2 characters carrying on the story, and I'm still unsure to some degree. The concept of the next generation carrying on the legacy of Mr. X is a safe one, and it does work for this game, but I guess I just don't quite see these 2 as typical Streets of Rage bosses. Speaking of bosses, boss fights are fun, varied and challenging, forcing you to learn their individual movements, tics and vulnerabilities. And although the same boss can make more than one appearance, the challenge of defeating 2 at once still provides you with a sense of great accomplishment when you do manage to defeat them, just as boss fights should do. The only real downside to the story is that there just isn't no true sense of finality, at least for me. The game doesn't have an ending as such, which I find confusing since the developers obviously took care and time to create not only a great game in terms of the gameplay itself, but also a cool retro style story presentation. Why have these cool cutscenes in between stages and no ending to round things off like the previous games? Will the developers be adding additional stages as downloadable content to perhaps lead to a more finished ending? We'll see, I guess. Aside from the story mode, the game throws you other modes to try your skills on. Arcade, Boss Rush, and Battle modes offer even more gameplay for you to try and, should you have the stomach for it, master. Aside from that, you have access to some cool extras like galleries, character stories and fighting tips for when you want to de-stress or find out more about your favourite characters in general. And it's not just throwaway stuff. The concept art and designs are intriguing and offer greater insight into the production of a game 16 years in the making. That's quite a long time. Now probably the most important thing in Streets of Rage, next to gameplay, is the soundtrack. Streets of Rage is known for its amazing soundtrack, more so in the first 2 entries. This entry bumps the music to 11 and carries you from point to point in each stage, never letting go of your balls until the stage is completed. It is impossible to dislike what's on offer here, and it's impossible to at least not be dancing inside yourself when you come across some of these amazing beats. In terms of presentation, this is unsurprisingly the juiciest the series has ever been. The animations in Streets of Rage 4 look so great I could look at Axel's standing animation for ages. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Each stage is varied and interesting to fight on. From the familiar streets of Stage 1 to the police building in Stage 2, everything looks great. There are no blemishes that I could find during my 50+ hours of playtime. Everything is crisp, juicy, and satisfying to look at. Streets of Rage 4 knows exactly what it is, a fun, side-scrolling beat-em-up with an exceptional learning curve should you wish to venture that far, that always retains the enjoyment factor no matter how many times you play it, be it with yourself or with a friend. Yes, it's a shame there's currently no 4-player online co-op option, a decent definitive ending or a full cast of characters to play, but to be honest, these things aren't deal breakers, merely minor faults that could be rectified if done the smart way. It's the best the series has to offer, and at the current price of around £20, I can honestly say it's worth every penny. Streets of Rage 4 gets a 9 out of 10 from me. That's the highest I've rated any game for at least the last 5 years. It's simple, effective, engaging. It's an amazing game. Buy it, play it, love it, hate it, love it some more. That's the way it should go. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. My name's Grady, and I'll see you on the next video.